Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. Today, it's time to overreact to the first week of the 2024-25 NBA season. But first, let's hit the music.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Way downtown.
Bang! Bang! What is this going to be? Wow! Are you kidding me?
Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. But if you watch the tape, what you will see completely orchestrated this game. Bryce, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, Sam? Sam, you know what I really love but really pisses me off?
No, I don't. Give me
syrup. Syrup is something I really love but really pisses me off. We were having breakfast for supper last night, and yes, I say supper because I'm from Kansas and I like to play into it, so I purposely say it. And syrup gets on everything. It gets on everything. It's impossible. It doesn't matter how careful you are. It's always in the way. It touches my other food, which I hate. I can't have my syrup on my eggs or my hash brown. And then you never have enough, or you always have too much, but it's so damn good on pancakes and waffles.
See, I am the opposite. I prefer syrup to be on everything on my plate.
Oh no.
Except for the eggs. I don't like it on eggs. I think
Yeah.
that's pretty gross. But like, I am more than happy to like dip a hash brown into like a small, like little puddle of syrup on my plate, or bacon, especially. I think bacon with syrup is like actually completely amazing, but it's the key is like the saltiness and the sweetness. You want to combine the two from everything. So yeah, I am a syrup guy through and through when it comes to breakfast food.
Yeah, I can handle the bacon, but I like my scrambled. Like, I pride myself on my scrambled eggs. I don't cook much in the Simon household. My wife holds it down literally across the board, but I do make some mean scrambled eggs, and I don't want them to get ruined with syrup. I do not want here's the other thing that's underrated. You know what's underrated? The trays that you get for meals at schools. I want those in my house, where I can keep all of my food separated with the little. That is an underrated aspect of eating at school.
I am generally like that. It's just very funny that you brought up syrup, particularly within this, because syrup is probably the one thing where I am good with like it not being separated.
Okay.
But with most everything else, I agree with you. Like I don't like mixing. I don't like my other food touching. Like my wife and I had like fish, potatoes, and salad last night. Like literally that was like the three things on the plate. And I was getting a little bit frustrated because like the potatoes, which were covered in like dill and things, were starting to like touch the salad. And I was like, no, this isn't good enough. This is not what we want.
No, I would almost refuse to eat salad in a situation where I have to put the salad on my main plate. If you're going to serve me salad, I would really politely ask that you give me a separate bowl or a separate plate for my salad, because it is not supposed to touch my main course, my entree, whether that's steak, potato, chicken, whatever it is. My salad's not supposed to touch that stuff.
Speaking of entrees, it's probably time to get into the entree of this episode.
Let's go.
And let's dive in now to some overreactions. The way Bryce and I structure these episodes, very simple. We will say something that could be construed as an outlandish statement early on in the start of this.
Yep.
And then we will discuss whether or not it is an overreaction or it's actually reality and something that is not an overreaction to what we've seen so far. So very simple. The first statement, do not take it as this is what we're saying. Take it as, hey, like we're going to talk through this here and talk through what's going on. Okay. I'm going to go first here because I think there's a team we have to talk about at the start, basically, just point blank, after the way they played in their first two games.
Yep.
We're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets.
Ooh.
The Denver Nuggets are 0 for 2 in 2 home games where they have largely held down their home court, basically over the course of their history, because they have the advantage in terms of elevation for the most part. But my overreaction is the Denver Nuggets will be in the play-in, not in the playoffs.
Wow.
Not that they will lose in the play-in,
Sure.
but that they will end up making the play-in tournament in the regular season, not necessarily making the top 6 seeds immediately. Bryce, is that an overreaction or not an overreaction?
I mean, I had this one relatively the same. I just put the Denver Nuggets are cooked because I thought it was funny to say the Nuggets are cooked. But dad jokes, you're welcome. You said play in. I don't think this is crazy, Sam. Like I think it's an overreaction right now. But if you had to put it on a scale of like 1 to 10 in terms of what is going to be the most outlandish things we say of these 6 on this episode, I don't think this is going to be the most outlandish thing we say. Like, I don't think it's going to be the least likely of the things we end up talking about. And it doesn't look good. Like, they don't space the floor. Jamal Murray is shooting awful from the field below, he's at 17 points. Michael Porter Jr., I mean, he's not going to shoot 19% from 3 all year.
Yeah.
I don't know, Sam. It's not good right now.
So part of it is that Murray, I thought, played better in the second game. I thought he was actually pretty okay against the Clippers. I've watched both of these games. I thought he was really bad against Oklahoma City, obviously, but I thought fine in the game against the Clippers. I didn't think he was the problem at all. Porter was like a real issue, and Michael Porter is just not playing well right now, and that's a significant problem. But right now, to me, it's a twofold issue. So first and foremost, before we get to the bench, which is probably the bigger problem, but let's save that for later. Do you know how many assists the Denver Nuggets had in the first, I believe it was 19 minutes of their game against the Clippers on Saturday?
So we're looking at a quarter and a half?
Little over a quarter and a half.
5.
They had 1, and that 1 assist was, I think it was like Julian Strawther passed the ball to the top of the key to Michael Porter, and Michael Porter had like a wide driving lane and took like 3 dribbles and finished. So like, it wasn't even a catch and shoot. It was Michael Porter caught the ball, dribbled 3 times, and then scored at the rim.
Yeah.
Assist. Right.
Yep.
So you could argue they had 0 assists through 19 minutes of their game against the Clippers on Saturday. They got down like 42-24, I think, in that stretch. They had 24 points in 19 minutes of that game. I honestly am not sure I've ever seen them play worse than those 19 minutes in the Jokic era, like since Jokic has like really emerged. Like, I'm not exaggerating. They were like catastrophically bad in that early run. No ball movement, no intensity, really. Like, there was no sense of urgency, it felt like, in that game. I was like way more worried about them through the first 19 minutes than I was at any point watching them against the Thunder. And they scored 87 points against the Thunder. They scored, I think, fewer points than anybody else did in their opener. If not the fewest, they were second fewest, maybe. Then they kind of like started to figure some shit out. They got things back together again. They literally had, I think, 4 of their their next 4 buckets might have been assisted, and they drilled 3 threes in a row after that. I think it was, let's see here. Who are my notes? It was, I think, Gordon, then Murray, then maybe Porter hit one. Or no, it was Jokic.
I say Jokic. That was the game he hit like 6, 7.
Jokic hit 7 threes in that game and like got like scalding hot. It was super impressive to watch him just like drill threes. But the thing for me that really continued to stand out was just the lack of ball movement in those first 20 minutes. Like it was so bizarre to watch that a team with Nikola Jokic, who is one of the 5 best passers of all time. I don't know, something like that. Like, I don't think it's unfair to say that. That team, and part of it is that like teams are making Jokic a scorer right now and trying to make them, kind of make him be selfish. I think that's a really smart way to play Jokic. Even though Oklahoma City didn't really do that. Oklahoma City like made him a passer, and he had a ton of assists in that game. He was super impressive, I thought. We talked about that. I broke that down on the stream I did after that game. But there's just no ball movement, no player movement right now. It's frustrating to watch, but that's even the starters, and the starters are not the biggest problem. Bryce, do you know what the Nuggets starters net rating is right now through 2 games?
Starters?
The starters only.
Okay. Plus 8.7.
The starters have played 48 minutes together through their 2 games, and they have a 14 net rating.
Okay.
Like the starters have been really, really good together. The starters are not Denver's problem.
Please tell me you're about to give the bench. Please tell me you're going to say it, because I have it.
The bench is catastrophic.
It's unreal.
It's like pretty staggering. I do not think Dario Saric is playable right now. I'm just going to like straight up say that. What he's shown in the first 2 games, the Clippers just like relentlessly attacked him. And the Nuggets bench, like it should have been worse in that game. I think Saric and Westbrook might have both been like a -12 in their minutes. It should have been worse. They were saved by Kevin Porter being close to as big of a catastrophe as they were. Like Kevin Porter was just like selfishly like attacking and like throwing up these ridiculous shots. If that wasn't happening, it would have been worse. Julian Strawther and Saric together on the court is really hard to deal with for them, because Strawther ends up in spots where like he's over aggressive and falls for pump fakes, or he's over aggressive and fouls and like breaks down on guys' arms. I think he had like 5 fouls in 16 minutes against the Clippers. And then in the first game, he fell for like 4 pump fakes and ended up getting buckets. Oklahoma City got buckets that way off of him. It's really, really hard to make those bench units work. And then we get to Russ. And Strawther's been fine on offense. Like Strawther is their best offensive bench player, I would say. I don't want to sit here and like crush Julian Strawther. His defense has been really, really bad through 2 games, but offensively, like he plays a significant role for them as a shooter, and that's something they desperately need. Look, I've been a Russ apologist for many years, for many, many years. I want that guy to have nothing but like success. It's tough. It's been really tough so far. It's just been a lot of driving without a plan, really. And the problem is for Russ, I think, that he used to be able to do that, and he was so athletic that it didn't matter. He doesn't have that pop anymore. He's still probably one of the, like, he's still a top 10% athlete in the NBA, I would say. But like when he was in his prime, he was a top 1% athlete. Like he was point blank between power, strength, speed, all of it. Like it was him and LeBron probably were the 2 best athletes in the league. And now he doesn't have that to fall back on. And it's a little bit hard. I think he's like 2 for 18. He's been a significant negative when he's been on the court so far. I hope they figure it out. I hope he figures it out, but I haven't seen a lot from the Russ experience yet where I've had confidence. Bryce, I mean, I just like kind of talk through everything that I'm seeing with Denver. I mean, where are you at on this?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to give the benefit of the doubt to the Russ experience. Like, hey, he could be a good off-ball cutter and work off of Jokic, and Jokic wanted him there. So maybe Russ is going to be inclined to play the way, like, hey, I feel wanted because Jokic, went out of his way to, want me here. And he's 2 of 18. I mean, you didn't end up giving the net rating. Do you know the net rating of the bench?
I don't.
Negative 22. You want to
Sounds
guess?
right.
You want to guess their true shooting percentage?
Oh, I would guess it's like 35.
Lower.
I guess 35 because I figured that like Strother would be like lifting them up, but what is it?
27.3.
Oh my God.
Because Peyton Watson is also 1 for 10 and Saric is 1 for 4. And none of those guys make threes other than Strother. Russell's, he's 1 of 9. They don't get to the free throw line a whole lot. Russ is 3 attempts. Watson has 2. Strother hasn't got to the free throw line a single time. I mean, it's just, we knew it could be ugly. And what's interesting to me is a couple things. You talk about the lack of ball movement. So I think it's easy to say the shooting percentages will change, right? They'll shoot the ball better. But if the ball isn't moving and doesn't have good positive flow and energy, that usually leads to worse field goal percentage. Like there's a correlation there.
To that point, I think that they had like 19 assists in the last, what would that be, 28 minutes of that game against the Clippers. They started to move the ball more. They really went back, it felt like to me, to like meat and potatoes. We're going to run some like Jokic Murray 2-man game, and we're just going to like let those two guys feast. And then Jokic obviously just like shot the shit out of the ball. But I'm fairly worried about what we've seen from Denver so far. Part of this is shooting. Like a way to fix this, to your point, is Michael Porter starting to make shots.
Yeah.
But like, he's like turning down shots. So for people, I didn't do our usual spiel at the top here. I'm probably going to go live after the games tonight as well and stream and talk through some of the things I've seen on tape throughout the course of the early season. We might go through a little bit of that Clippers Denver game because I thought it was really, really interesting. I'm excited to do it because you'll see like Porter's turning down shots is my biggest issue. He's legitimately getting open catch and shoot shots and he's not taking them in favor of like, he had one where he had a wide open catch and shoot 3 from the right wing. And instead he dribbled twice and threw a cross corner kick out to Aaron Gordon instead of him taking a 3. Like Michael Porter Jr. is a 40% 3-point shooter. Aaron Gordon, God love him, he's an unbelievable basketball player. He's not the shooter that Michael Porter is. Those are shots, especially with the non-shooters that Denver has on the roster, that Michael Porter has to take. These are not negotiables this year. Him and Murray have to take open threes when they come available. There is no answer otherwise, in my opinion. So for him not to take he's just like, it feels like he's not confident right now.
So let's play real quick how like realistic is this, right? Because playing, if they're going to be better than this, like they're eventually going to make some shots, they'll figure some things out.
Definitely be better than this.
But like there are plenty of teams to finish in the top 6. The Lakers, the Thunder, the Warriors, the Suns, the Timberwolves, the Grizzlies, the Mavs. Like, let's not even talk about the 0-2 Kings if you don't want to. The Rockets at 1-2. I skipped over the Pelicans.
To be honest with you, like the Kings have looked pretty good.
No, and that's like I was just taking out like, hey, even if you want to say like after 2 games the Kings are cooked or something, and I didn't mention the 2-0 Pelicans because like injuries are piling up very quickly there, even though they're 2-0. It's just like there are plenty of teams to finish in the top 6, Sam. It's not like, hey, the Nuggets are going to finish 8th. Well, who's going to finish above them? Boom. There's 7 teams right there that can finish above them. Like it's easy to name teams, which makes it feel like if they don't figure it out or you dig yourself too big of a hole, it could be an issue. And then you mentioned like, okay, who are the answers? Like you bring up, like, do we play Dario Saric? Who's going to play if Saric doesn't play?
Yeah. I mean, it's Zeke Naji and like, honestly, I might Honestly, I think I would try Zeke at this point. I
Sure.
don't think it would be all that successful because I don't know that he's particularly good. But I find it hard to believe that he would be as harmful defensively as what Saric has been to this point.
Yeah. And then, what's the answer if Russ isn't, like you can't take him out of the lineup, but if you did, who's the other guy? So it's just I think this group has to figure it out, I guess is my point. Like they put some eggs in the Russ basket. That's what they have. Unless you're going to go to like Trey Alexander or something like that, you're going to have to figure it out with this group that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're going to shoot a little bit better, but I think this is the group that has to figure it out, I guess is my point.
Well, it is in part because of the decisions that Calvin Booth has made, right? Like the mini mid-level decision on Saric was one that we crushed at the time. Like that made no sense when he did that. That's the one where I'm like, you know what? Like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, losing him, obviously a bad choice organizationally, but I find it hard to believe that that was all Calvin Booth, just knowing like what their previous decision making has been from the ownership level, right? I think it's, if not likely, like very, very possible that ownership played a bigger part in that than what Booth in the front office did, right?
Yep.
Obviously, they should have kept Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. But then to go out and do Russ, I mean, it sounds like Jokic wanted him. You brought that up, obviously. Sure, whatever. Like, Jokic is very low maintenance. If he wants a guy, like, it's a, low level contract to do, whatever. Saric, they had one like real mechanism this summer, and it was the mini mid level. You could have gone out. I mean, like if you're Gary Trent, you go and do the minimum for the Bucks, or do you do the deal that Saric got, which is like 210? You absolutely go do the Nuggets deal, right?
Yeah.
If you're like, to me, like Buddy Hield, right? Like Buddy Hield would probably be in a slightly better position if he was on a 1+1 for $5 million playing with Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray on a team that like desperately needs shooters, as opposed to the like strange deal that he signed with the Warriors. Even though it's for slightly more money, he's like kind of locked into them long term, right? So I just say that there were options out there. It's not that they didn't exist. The Saric thing, especially after drafting Deron Holmes, before Holmes got hurt, by the way.
Yes.
The process here never made sense.
So
the process was poor from the start on that.
That's what I wanted to point out as well was I think we even said like, hey, they kind of got bailed out because Holmes tore his Achilles. And so then all of a sudden Saric became important, but you didn't know that. Like there was no history of Holmes' injury at his time at Dayton or anything like that. So why did you trade up to draft this kid and then you go out and sign Saric and then like it looked smarter after the fact in a situation that like you really couldn't predict. And the one thing I'll say with Russ is, yeah, like it's not a lot of money, but when you sign Russ, you eliminate all of these other options. Like, cause you're not going to bring Russ in and set him on the bench. So you have to play Russ multiple minutes. You have to find a way to put him within the offense because he is such this like polarizing player. So it does take out all of these other possibilities, even if it's not just monetarily, there's other things that's just like, okay, well, if we're going to bring Russ in, he's going to play 20 minutes a night and he's going to take this usage. And that is what it is.
I agree. Look, I don't think this is an overreaction. I don't know that I would predict it at this point. The other thing worth noting here is like the Nuggets have some get right games coming up. Like they play the Raptors, then the Nets, then the Timberwolves, then the Jazz, then the Raptors in their next 5. Right? They should win 4 of those 5 games.
Yep. Go
realistically.
4-1. Yep.
So we're going to look at a spot here where they should be 4-3 or 5-2, whatever they go. Right? If they can beat the Timberwolves, they should be in that circumstance here moving forward. So it's not like the sky is not falling here, and we're going to look up in a week and they're going to be 2-2, and then in 2 weeks they're going to be 4-4 or 4-3 with 5-2, whatever they are. I think it's probably going to be fine. But the Clippers game threw up some red flags for me, like in a pretty real way. Look, the West is completely unforgiving this season.
Yep.
The West is so unforgiving. And by the way, like, credit to the Clippers. They did a really good job of guarding the Nuggets and making their guys, putting their guys into spots where they were a little bit uncomfortable. Okay. Bryce, before we move to your first overreaction, it's time to hear from our friends at Prizepicks. Prizepicks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prizepicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prizepicks. Look, they're going to offer you weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prizepicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. If you think somebody like Justin Jefferson is going to get more than 83.5 yards next week, or if you think that somebody like Tyreek Hill is going to go under his yardage total, you just cook up those hot takes with your friends, and you're going to win real money this football season when you and your crew run your game on Prizepicks. Download the app today and use the code GAMETHEORY to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. If you download that app today and use the code GAMETHEORY, you can get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prizepicks, run your game. We are big fans of the folks over at Prizepicks. Okay, Bryce, you are up. Please, what is your first overreaction?
Real quick, Sam. You know my good friend Chris, right? That we met at Vegas.
I do. Yeah.
I cost him a lot of money on a Chiefs game recently, and I feel really bad about it. So, sorry, Chris.
I'm into it.
He ruins it for me. He bets so much money on those games. I'm like, dude, I can't watch with comfortability whenever you tell me this stuff. Okay. JJ Redick has saved the Lakers and turned them into title contenders.
Okay. So my overreaction was that the Lakers are a top 3 seed in the West.
There we go.
This season. So we are combined on this one. Give me a bit of an explanation on what you've seen from JJ so far. I have talked about him on a stream after their opener. I'm probably going to end up talking about them a little bit tonight, but I might wait until Tuesday to break them down a little bit, because I believe they play Phoenix Tuesday. Maybe, is that right?
I do not have the schedule in front of me.
No, they play Phoenix tomorrow night on Monday.
Okay.
So I might go live after Monday night's games as well and talk about this. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're a top 5 offense right now, net rating wise. They've run some interesting stuff. A 5-1 ball screen between Anthony Davis and Austin Reeves, I thought was kind of interesting. They had this action. I think you broke it down in your video as well, but I put it in my notes. Start of second half, they go Reeves, Iverson cut. AD goes elbow to elbow, cross screen for LeBron. LeBron rolls right into a screen and roll with Reeves. Reeves hits LeBron on the roll, who then immediately throws the lob to AD. And I'm just like, that was awesome. Like, it was so pretty, so perfectly timed. 3 really good basketball players working together. And then the very next possession, though, then they build off of it. That's what I like, Sam, is like, listen, I don't mean to be like a jerk, but I could draw up 75 actions and have them ready for tomorrow. They may work once, but can then you build off those actions? Can they fit your personnel? So the next possession, they run the same initial action, but Reeves went to the block and then hit a back screen for AD, and it didn't get him a lob, but what it got him was good post position. He set the back screen, his man was scrambling to recover, and then AD was able to pin him and get good post position. So I like how actions build off of each other, and it seems like that is something they're able to do. They also have this funky 3-2 zone defense. I'm interested to see how much they run, where AD actually plays in the middle of it at the top.
I have seen it, and I do not like it.
So that's why I didn't want to break it down too much. I just wanted to bring it up because it was interesting.
Can we just talk about it brief, just for a second?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Not long.
Let me get your thoughts.
My issue with it is, if you're going to put AD at the top, it's going to lead to your two at the bottom probably being one of LeBron or somebody else on their roster.
It was LeBron and Jackson Hayes in this
I was going to say
specific instant.
Yeah, they do it a lot. I feel like with their bench unit particularly, because I just finished the Kings game this morning and they did it with like 2 minutes left in the first quarter with the bench unit out.
Okay.
Again.
Okay.
My issue with it is that if you're going to do it with AD at the top, LeBron can be a bit at his age, not as willing to rotate like as aggressively on the back line, especially like early in games and bench units, things like that. And I think it just leads to corner threes. That's been my like kind of read on it so far, is like the one possession I can remember from the Kings game is like the Kings just ended up like trying to like get a quick little bit of penetration. They forced like a bit of a collapse and then they kicked it to the left wing and then reversed it to the corner to Keegan Murray, and Keegan just like drilled a three. So I don't like it. I'd maybe tinker with that a little bit more, but it speaks to JJ's willingness to experiment, and I am intrigued by that at least.
Yeah, no, it stands out, right? Like we see lots of teams play 2-3 zone anymore, but it's like, okay, this is interesting. How are what I find interesting, like how they're going to rotate. Cause I think you would run AD from the top of the key down into the lane when the ball goes to the corner, but those two guys on the baseline got to be really, really active. When it comes down to personnel though, AD's been incredible. 34 and 11, 15 free throw attempts a game. Like he's been awesome. I know LeBron took over in the fourth quarter, the other night, and I get all of that. But then the other two guys to me are Austin Reeves and Rui. I think Austin Reeves has been really good. Austin Reeves in the full game I've gotten to watch, which was the Wolves game, he took the Ant matchup, and I thought he was pretty good defensively. And if Austin Reeves can take the primary defensive matchups and just even be neutral in those matchups, make guys work. He even had like some rim protection and some stuff. Like he's been very active defensively, which is complete opposite of the story at the beginning of last season. Rui is being very confident, very aggressive. Obviously, if he's knocking down shots, it looks really good. And then I want to give a quick shout out to Dalton Connect. I know you highlighted this as well. I don't think if you wouldn't have highlighted, I don't know if people would have recognized it. They ran an action, I believe is in the Wolves game, where they set a back screen for Gabe Vincent at the elbow and he got a wide open layup. And to most people, that's like, oh, really cool back screen. It's like, no. Why is the back screen open? Because Dalton Connect is standing in the weak side corner and his man is not standing in the lane. They run the exact same thing the next possession with somebody else in the weak side corner.
Rui in the corner,
It was Rui, and Rui's man is all the way in the lane and takes it away. So Dalton Connect's scoring ability and just sheer gravity is going to provide something to this team, it looks like.
Yeah, so I think what has stood out to me most, and maybe I'll do this again a little bit later when we talk about the Lakers on the second stream here, but what has stood out to me most is in the first game, JJ ran like a ton of actions, right? I think that like Tim from the Lakers Exceptionalism podcast and B-Ball Index, I think he said like they ran actions on like 65% of like real like sets on like 65% of their offensive half court possessions, something like that. I forget exactly what the qualifier was, but that was like a drastic increase from what Darvin Ham was doing, right? In the game against the Kings, it felt more like to me, they just went like mismatch hunting for the most part. It wasn't necessarily that they were like being hyper aggressive and trying to, run a horns action into like a flare backdoor for Rui or something like that. They did run something like that. Like they ran like this really fun, like horns, like cross screen action where, LeBron went around a screen from Jackson Hayes and then Rui filtered around to the corner and LeBron hit like a cross corner. Like it was really, really sweet, but it was more that they just ran, okay, we like our matchups here, right? We think that we can take advantage of Kevin Huerter, which they did in the first part of the game. They attacked Huerter pretty relentlessly. And then later in the game, like in the third, really like near the end of the third quarter, the Kings went on like kind of a run in the third quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, particularly, they were just like, no, we're just going to attack Sabonis and ball screens. like every single time. And LeBron got super hot from 3, and like that made it a little bit easier. But they really, it seemed like I liked JJ not being as beholden to, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to run set after set after set. Instead, he was just like, no, we have LeBron James and Anthony Davis in the Kings game. We're just going to run these 4 or 5 ball screens because that's getting us a good shot every time. And we're going to roll it that way, right? Sometimes they would run like a zoom action to get the matchup that they wanted, to get LeBron like into a ball screen for involving Sabonis. So it's not like they weren't running anything, but they kept it way simpler. It felt like to me in the Kings game. And I liked that flexibility of scheme for JJ Redick.
No, I agree. That is good because you aren't going to be able to just rely on set actions all the time. So be able to go mismatch hunting like we see in the playoffs a lot. The one thing I will say, like to play the other side of it just a little bit, is the starters are playing a lot of minutes. So 3 guys in the top 25 in terms of minutes per game, 4 guys in the top 36. Like eventually, my point is eventually they're gonna have to get a little bit more from the bench. Connect is averaging, just under 8 points. That's pretty good for a rookie, shooting the ball well. Jackson Hayes, but like Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, and whoever else they're going to try to get minutes to, those guys have to, they got to get a little bit more, I think, from that group of guys to really be what we're talking about here. Like if we're really talking about them being a top 3 team in the West and making a run, especially just regular season, because you can't play, I don't think, you can't play all of these guys. I mean, Rui and AD are both over 37, and LeBron and Austin Reeves are both right at 35. That's a lot of minutes to play throughout the whole season for, especially AD and LeBron. So at some point, kind of the depth of this team is going to get tested, and they've got to be able to come through with that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree. So like to get to our original question here, are the Lakers a top 3 seed, a real title contender?
I'm holding right now. Can I hold? Is that fair?
I think I would. It's a good question. So what are the odds here? Let's just pull up a sports book, for instance, right? And see what the actual numbers are in terms of some futures. So Lakers regular season wins right now, you can still somehow bet this at 44.5. Like, yes, like that to me, like way over 44.5.
Okay.
Like not even a question in my mind, way over 44.5. Right.
So yeah, I was looking at the Western Conference from last year. Oh yeah. Cause that didn't even make the playoffs last year. Yes.
Right.
Over.
So to win the West right now, the Lakers are, I can see them on points bet at 13-1. If the number is 13-1, yes, I am investing in the Lakers at 13-1 if I was allowed to do such things in theory. So yes, at that number, absolutely, like I'm investing in them. Do I think they are the favorite? No, I think Oklahoma City seems pretty clearly to be the favorite.
Yeah.
Are there a couple other teams that I think the Lakers are in a tier with? I do. But to maybe ask a question on the first 2 teams that we talked about here, do you trust the Lakers or do you trust Denver more right now moving forward this year?
I mean, based off what we've seen, if you just take what we've seen this year, even taking into account the Nuggets shooting struggles and the question, like if you take history out of it, knowing what, I mean, I trust the Lakers a little bit more right now because I think they know who they are. I think they know their personnel, and I think the Nuggets have some things to figure out.
I think I would take the Lakers to finish ahead of the Nuggets right now. Which, maybe that's a top 4, maybe that's a top 3 seed, maybe it's not, but maybe that's title contender, maybe it's not, but I think the Lakers look really good right now. Like they look like a team that is highly, highly, highly competitive against everybody that they play against. So, yeah. Okay. My second Overreaction, Bryce. And we have to get through these a little bit quicker than what we have
Yep,
been,
let's
obviously,
do it.
because those were the two teams that like I really, really wanted to talk about.
Yeah, of
But
course.
nonetheless. Okay. The Dallas Mavericks
Okay.
will have a top 2 offense in the NBA this season.
Okay.
So basically, I don't think anybody is going to finish ahead of Boston offensively. I think that their math game is just too strong at the end of the day.
We may be talking about that math game with my second one. So let's just
Cool.
We'll come back to it.
Great. So I find it hard to believe anybody's going to top Boston on the offensive side.
Yep.
But I think Dallas so far has a real shot to finish second. And look, Dallas, in their second game, right? Like they were not as impressive as they were in their first game against San Antonio, where they did not play what I would consider like a particularly impressive team. Against the Suns, like they did play a team that I think is pretty good, right? Like, and they only scored 102 points, and it was not as sweet as what we saw in the first game. Particularly, I would point to the fact that I thought their ball movement was worse against the Suns. And I thought that just obviously they didn't make shots, right? Like Luka and Clay went 10 for 25 from 3, and then like everybody else really didn't make anything from distance. So there are going to be days where they shoot. There are going to be days where they don't shoot. But I think that this is the offense almost that is tailor-made to see Luka Doncic thrive in. It has a rim runner for 48 minutes in Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford. It has, at the very least, at least 2 elite shooters out there for probably 75% of Luka's minutes in Kyrie and Klay Thompson. It has other guys that like I think can shoot at times, right? Like PJ Washington will go through stretches where he'll knock down shots. You have to guard him for the most part. Najee Marshall hasn't really made shots yet, but has shown flashes of it at times in New Orleans. Quentin Grimes has been like hit or miss so far for me. Jaden Hardy, didn't make shots in that Suns game, but I think has a chance to be a useful rotation player for them as a scorer this year. I do think that this offense has a chance to be exceptionally impressive throughout the course of this season based on its makeup and based off of what they're doing. And I'll talk about that in a second as well. What has been your impression of Dallas to this point?
Hey, they also play that 3-2 zone with Lively in the middle. So just a quick shout out to the Mavs.
So like, I think the idea for teams doing this is like, it will reduce 3-point volume probably, right? Like that's kind of what my read on it is. But the main issue for me, because like so let's talk about functionally how it would reduce 3-point volume. You have 3 guys atop like the arc, so there's just more bodies kind of above the break, and then on top of it, you should be able to dissuade penetration, which should stop driving kicks from 3. The problem is that if you get any breakdown on either the wings or on the back line, so 4 of your 5 guys have to be like perfect for the most part, it's going to lead to a corner 3.
Yep.
And those are the highest value shots in basketball outside of like dunks at the rim.
Yep.
So I understand why teams are doing it. I don't like it.
Well, I feel like
I think it's a riskier strategy than what people think.
Yeah, I mean, to me, especially in the NBA, like you want to take away shots in the paint and in the corner, right? Specifically corner threes. And to me, a 3-2 zone, if I'm attacking the 3-2 zone, I'm going to attack about 10 to 12 feet right in the middle of the lane and in the corners. It's like a 2-3 zone gives up shots on the wing, which you still don't want to give up, but theoretically that's a shot you'd rather give up in the NBA than from the corner. So it's just, it is interesting.
I think a 2-3 is a little bit more valuable to me in the NBA, given where shots get taken and high value shots get taken.
The idea is it makes it a lot easier to stay away from the defensive 3-second, right? Like in a 3-2 zone, you don't naturally have anybody standing in the lane like you would in a 2-3. But yeah, so look, Luka is awesome. Kyrie, obviously really good. You mentioned Clay, like those 2 guys spacing the floor. Clay is such an elite off-ball relocator. Like it's elite off-ball relocation. If you like, he has an aggressive hammer to the corner on a teammate baseline drive. Like he can run pick and pop and go screens with Luka or Kyrie. Like just really good stuff that you can run with those guys. I think Derek Lively, I almost put him in my breakout candidates. Like I wondered if he wouldn't take another step. I'm shocked that he's not starting for them.
Yeah.
He's second on the team in assists right now. I think what he can
Yeah.
do, not just as a lob threat, but also in the short role as a passer, decision maker, and floater. To me, I would believe in this more, Sam, if I believe more in what PJ Washington, Najee Marshall, Quentin Grimes, et cetera, do from the 3-point line this year. I really think, I'm not saying their season hinges on them, but I think being this level of offense does hinge. When we saw this team at their best, they were knocking down crazy amount of corner threes against the Thunder in the playoffs. They got to be able to knock down corner threes from those guys to, I think, reach this level of offensive ability.
So I'm glad you brought up Lively, because part of what they're doing that I like a lot is they're playing more 5 out. And by that, I mean, they're utilizing Lively and Gafford as like ball handlers at the top in dribble handoff actions, just in like early, like quick little entry passes at the top of the key, leading back to dribble handoffs, like little things like that. They're utilizing those guys more at the top, and it's forcing teams into 5 out kind of structures, basically defensively. So I like that a lot. That is something that by and large Dallas has not done a crazy amount of in the past. They did more of it once Lively got comfortable last season, but they're not like, by and large, they run like ball screen with Luka, ball screen with Kyrie. Like they've been a lot more stagnant, maybe is like a fair way to put it, offensively, but now they're like starting to incorporate more ball movement, more passing, more 5 out structures, I would say, within their offense. And I like that. I think schematically that makes a lot of sense. Where this will fail is exactly what you said in terms of their guys off the bench. Can they consistently make shots? Can Najee Marshall, Jaden Hardy, Quentin Grimes, Maxi Kleba as well as another one that's been always very hot or cold as a shooter, and PJ Washington. Can those guys make shots or not? And if they don't, then this will fail. And honestly, I think it probably is a slight overreaction to have them as a top 2 offense in the league. I think they're going to be really good on offense, though. I think they're the not overreaction is that this is probably a top 7 offense, but it might be like a slight overreaction. I think they're in the mix to be the second best offense in the league, but I don't know that they'll quite get there.
Yeah, no, I think any offense driven by Luka has a chance. And then especially like you said, 48 minutes of lob threat, one of those guys being able to do even more than that, the second guy in Kyrie. And then it's really about those role players. Like they continue to increase that ceiling when they're making shots.
Okay. Give me your second overreaction, Bryce.
The Boston Celtics shatter the individual team 3-point makes record, which is currently held by the Golden State Warriors at 1,363. Last year, the Celtics hit 1,351, which is second. 10 teams in the history of the NBA have gone over 1,200 makes. The Boston Celtics are currently on pace for 1,861 made threes. I will not go that far. I will say they shattered the 3-point makes record by hitting 1,600 threes this year, which is 19.5 threes made per game. Currently, they are making 22.7. Last year, they were at 16.5. So this is very aggressive, but they look more than willing to shoot as many threes as it takes to do this.
I'm into it. I love it. This combines nicely with my third.
Okay, perfect.
Third overreaction. So maybe you can do one more at the end here and we'll get through these.
Yep. I got one more.
My third overreaction was that, or I guess it's fourth here because I also had one on the Lakers too. But the Celtics win 70 games.
I thought I was going to be the outrageous one, and then you just come in.
The whole point of this thing is to go nuts.
Like, give me a little bit of shine here. I just said they were going to break the 3-point record by over 200 makes. And then you come in and you're like, get the hell out of here, Bryce. They're going to break 70 wins. This is amazing.
Look, I don't know if they're going to win 70. 70 is aggressive. But the whole point is to say something outlandish here, right? I think that the 3-point makes record is happening. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, I think as long as they stay healthy, because here's the fucking crazier thing about that. They're going to get more 3-point volume when Kristaps comes back.
And hey, Sam Hauser has only played 1 game this year. 1. And they're still doing this. So him and Kristaps.
Like, seriously, like they are going to absolutely they took basketball, like the basketball they played last year, where their offense was the best offense in league history by far and was absolutely phenomenal. And they've just like accelerated what they're doing league wide. Do you know what their offensive rating is right now?
I do, only because I had it pulled up.
Yeah, it's insane. It's 130.2.
Yep.
I don't look, that's not going to stick. I don't think. Like if they score 1.3 points per possession, they will win 70 games. I feel confident of that. But they're just an absolute wagon. And like they're so tight schematically. They have changed the game from a spacing perspective.
Yep.
Is the easiest way to put it. They've created such easy driving lanes for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Derek White and Drew Holiday. But the reason they've done it is because all of these dudes are 40% 3-point shooters if they're open. Like Jason Tatum takes tough ones. And oh, by the way, the biggest reason why they're at 1.3 points per game or points per possession right now is that Jason Tatum is back so far through 3 games to being like the terrifying pull-up 3-point shooter that he was whenever he was, in his second or third year, or not his second year, probably his third and fourth year, I guess is what it was when he like really emerged as a pull-up shooter. He is firing that ball from distance. There's all this talk about like MVP and like, is Jason Tatum a real MVP candidate? I will tell you through the first week, he's been the best player I've seen in the NBA so far.
Oh, he's been incredible.
Like he's just been absolutely ridiculous. He's been an unbelievable player so far. He's averaging 33 points on 55, 49, and then 70% of his free throws. But then he's also averaging 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 stocks a game. Like
doesn't turn it over.
Like he's been unbelievable. Like all due respect to AD, I think AD's also been phenomenal. And if you want to mount a case for him, cool. But like Tatum to me has been just completely unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, I got to watch this last night as the Celtics took on the Pistons, and what ended up being a really good game. And Tatum was unreal in the first half with the shots he was making. But so we've talked about the 3-point thing, and it is fun. And I think they're going to break the record. I actually think it might be true that they shatter it, because Peyton Pritchard just looks like, I mentioned, I think that I thought he would have a Grayson Allen / Dante DiVincenzo type season. I think he's actually going to. Like, I think he's going to take 8 to 9 threes a game, and I think he's going to shoot over 40% on them. They're going to have 4 guys taking 7, 8 threes a game whenever Sam Hauser's involved, because Brown and Tatum are taking a ridiculous amount. But why I think your thing, I think they play hand in hand. I was thinking about this. The reason this really works in the regular season is, let's say, I don't know, a random Saturday in October when you have to go play in Detroit and you're really not that invested. You know what you can do? You can just simply win the math game, Sam. You can give up 60 points in the paint to Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey and still win a basketball game, because you just make way more threes than they do. And here's the other thing. Drew Holiday made the 3 biggest plays in that game. If you just look at this is the ultimate, I don't care what the box score stat says. The Celtics were down 6 late in that game. Drew Holiday hits back-to-back 3-pointers, and then Detroit gets a transition, and Holiday rips Jaden Ivey. Tobias Harris picks it up, and then rips Tobias Harris. And then Derek White makes I think Pistons are down 2 now. Cade Cunningham gets a dunk at the rim. Nope. Derek White, maybe the best guard shot blocker in the league, comes over and protects the rim and rejects it. Like, they just have winning players like that as well to go along with all this kind of flashy ball movement, 3-point shooting. And that's why I think they could win a ton of games. It's because they have an intersection of all of that.
Can we take a quick aside to Jaden Ivey land real quick?
You don't want to start this. Because here's the thing. It's not enough games I don't take very many victory laps. I might on this one if it continues.
Jaden's good, man. Like, I've always, like, you know me, like, I've always loved Jaden Ivey and thought he's like really, really good. I remember like Timph and I did like an episode like 2 years ago where we were like, yeah, this is a dude. Like, this is definitely a dude. And that was rookie season where he was just starting to turn the corner in terms of like, I can't go 100 mile an hour every time that I dribble the ball. Right. Like, Jaden Ivey's good, point blank. I'm just going to say it. Jaden Ivey is a really, really good basketball
Here's
player.
the question. Here's the only question that matters. Is Jaden Ivey better than Killian Hayes, Sam? That's the only thing I want to know the answer to. Jaden Ivey's a walking paint touch through 3 games of this season.
Oh, hot take. Surround like one of the 6 or 7 most athletic players in the NBA with space and with shooters, and he's going to live in the lane? No way.
Crazy. It's a crazy concept.
Oh my God.
Still 0-3, unfortunately.
Still 0-3, but so much more competitive, Bryce. Like, truly, they are leaps and bounds better than what they were last year. Like, even already, you can see it. I just hope that like they don't get discouraged and frustrated.
They got it. We talked about it on the pod today. They got to get a win soon. Like, even if it's just one, a couple would be nice. They got to get a couple wins so they can feel like what they're doing, the things they're doing are the right things. And it's got to translate to a couple wins to reinforce that they're doing the right things. If it doesn't, it's going to start building on each other. And then you wonder if they go to old habits, but it's so much better to watch. It's not even close.
Yeah. Like, the Heat haven't been overly impressive so far. Like, that's their next game tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And then they have a 76ers team that's banged up, and then they have the Knicks at home, and then they have the Nets. Like, it would be good to see them win 2 of those games.
Get 2. Yeah, get 2. Like, even at 2-5, like, I know people are going to laugh, but even that's like, okay, we gave the Celtics all they wanted. They gave the Cavs all they wanted. Probably should have beat the Pacers on opening night. You're competitive in a couple losses, get a couple wins. Like, that's so much better vibes than what it's been.
Yeah. And Cade's been awesome so far too. Like,
hey,
the turnovers are a thing, but he's been
turnovers
really,
are
really
disgusting. But I'll tell you one thing with Cade, his defense is leaps and bounds better.
Way better.
Like,
so much better.
I'm scared to say it because I don't want to overstep, but I'm like, he's at least neutral right now, and he's borderline a positive. I won't go there yet, but he's at least neutral defensively.
I agree.
Yeah. So
I agree. Okay. Bryce, we kind of combined my third one with your second one. So what is your third?
Yeah. So my last one is the Warriors.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of the right word here. I have dominate written down. That's not a good word. The Warriors have let's say dominate. Hell, it's overreactions. Dominate the regular season with depth. The Golden State Warriors dominate the regular season with depth.
So Bryce, this is one you're going to have to take entirely because the Warriors are one of 10 teams that I have not watched yet. I'm doing that tonight, and we'll go live after the Clippers game, and we'll talk through some Warriors stuff.
Yeah. So to me, we talked about this, Sam. Like, we talked about the number of players they had, and listen, I don't know what this looks like come playoff time. I assume not right. I also think it's kind of funny that in an Olympics where Steve Kerr couldn't play Jason Tatum, he's playing 12 guys in the NBA. But in the regular season, I think this is really interesting that, you know how many guys they have averaging more than 13 minutes per game right now?
So I have their box score up, but
okay,
you say it here.
Yeah, 12 guys. Nobody's playing more than 26 minutes a night. I have no idea if it's actually going to work, but this is amazing. Like, I love it. Like, when everybody else is, a big 3, or even I've heard people call big 5s and stuff like that. You know what? We're just going to run 12 guys. They're going to stay healthy. They're going to stay fresh, and they're going to go out and hoop. It's worked through 2 games. They have a net rating of 36. I don't think that's probably going to hold true. I don't know that the competition has been great, but give me a chance.
I don't know that the competition has been great. I can tell you it has not been great.
Okay.
They've played. So look, important. They've played 2 road games. So like they've knocked off the road games, right?
Yep.
But they played the Blazers and the Jazz. They beat the Jazz by 41 and the Blazers by 36. I will say though, like I did watch like a small amount of that Blazers game. Like I didn't watch a crazy amount of it, but I'm going to like really sit down and watch them tonight against the Clippers. They like kicked the shit out of Portland in that first half. Like the second quarter, particularly, it was just like, oh man, this feels, and I think it got like way worse from what I know. Cause I think they were up like 15 at half, but like they like beat the shit out of them. It felt like to me in that
they
first
have
half.
Buddy Hield, Moses Moody, Brandon Pajimski, and D'Anthony Melton coming off their bench right now. Not to mention Gary Payton and Kevon Looney and Kyle Anderson. Like, and sneaky Andrew Wiggins can make threes again and rebound again, averaging 15 and 8.5. Like,
I'm into it.
Here's the thing. Buddy Hield is an elite shooter, probably not going to continue to shoot 75% from 3 and average 25 points a game, but like there's a lot of options here. They gave Moses Moody an extension and then said, you know what, maybe we should play him. And they played him and he's scored the basketball well. Like they just, again, I don't know. Like that's why I like emphasize the dominate with depth in the regular season kind of like, I don't think it plays well into the postseason. But I do wonder if this for 50 games until the trade deadline, and if they're actually in it, I assume they'd make a trade. But I do wonder, I'm fascinated to see if this depth and playing this many guys plays out along, especially as this turns into a war of attrition with other teams. Because I know we've already seen teams get injured, but like we mentioned with the Lakers, those guys aren't playing 35 minutes a night all season long. It will just be interesting if guys stay healthy and if they can just out depth teams throughout the regular season into a top 6 seed. Like, can they stay out of the play-in playing this way?
Yeah, I think that there's a chance. I mean, the West is such a beast. I'm excited to watch them. I haven't watched them yet, so I'm not going to like sit here and comment. One thing I am going to comment on before we get to trivia and bring Andrew on.
Uh-oh.
If you had to take a guess who that is a photo of, who would you say?
I'm so glad you're doing this. I'm so glad you're doing this.
Audio medium, Bryce. We got to get an answer.
It's funnier that you're waiting so long to guess. This is one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Swear to God, my first reaction was Michael Chiklis from The Shield.
Yeah.
Who is it?
So this is Dwyane Wade.
Shut the fuck up. No, it's not.
This is the statue of Dwyane Wade.
No, it's not. Stop.
Jeff Darlington over on
no. That's disrespectful. That actually, I don't even care. That makes me mad. It is 2024. I could go to ChatGPT and pull up something better than that right now. That's embarrassing. Is that out? Where is that at?
That's his statue
in front of the Heat Stadium.
They should be embarrassed.
He gave a speech in front of the statue and said, "I can't
have.
believe it. Who is that guy?" He was literally asking, "Who is that guy?"
Oh my God!
I'm actually I'm mad. I don't even care. Like that's awful. I'm sorry. That's not nice because
I'm just glad that we're all appreciators of the Shield here. That's the key. You know, Chiklis was doing some rough stuff on that show.
Why did they make him look like he was 50? He doesn't even look that old right now.
He actually doesn't. That's the funny thing. He legitimately does not look that old.
They aged his statue so it would fit him in 20 years. Like, what are we doing?
I suddenly want to rewatch I Am Legend.
Well, really, I just want to sit down.
It looks like the zombies from I Am Legend. Yeah.
That's why I stalled, because I had pictured something from a movie. I couldn't figure it out. It is. They're
Yeah.
trolling.
I want to
us.
sit
That's
down and
messed
have a
up.
barbecue with my family because it looks like Vin Diesel's on the screen right now.
Yes, exactly. Just cares about family. Yeah, I quote. Here, I'll just put mine up here. I quote tweeted the thing with this. So it's Will Smith running away from the statue. There you go.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's
done.
absolutely amazing.
Well
what?
done.
What happened here? Are we just like, are we big like Jeff Bezos fans like down in Miami? Is that what's going on?
Oh my
Like
gosh.
Jeff Bezos
Okay,
is the
here's the
statue
thing, though.
here?
In all seriousness, how does this happen?
I actually don't know. Like
How does that
truly, like,
happen?
I'm not really sure.
I guess it's one. My guess is it's. I actually don't have any good guesses, honestly.
I have no guesses on this.
This
truly.
didn't have to go through multiple. Like, hey, how does this look? Here, take another crack at it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, this is staggering.
No, but
This blows my mind that somebody let this happen. It's almost like if you combine like The Rock and Vin Diesel from the Fast and Furious movies like into one person almost. Like, yeah, I don't know. That's something. That is
I'm sorry that I
That's a-
cussed earlier. If you're sorry.
it's always good when we get Bryce to curse on the show. This is what we needed. This is what we needed today.
That was great. Oh, man.
Okay.
That's awful.
Bryce, your show now. It's trivia time.
Oh, I got to regroup. Okay. Lock in. All right, Sam, this is your podcast, so I'm going to give you an option. In the spirit
Okay.
of what we did this summer, for our first regular season trivia, I will give you 3 options you can choose. We can do a rookie trivia, we can do an under 24 trivia, or we can do an over 32 trivia.
Andrew, I'll let you choose.
Under 24.
Under 24. Okay. So now, Sam, we are going 24 and under. 24 and under currently. So this is a little different than what we did, right? We gave the December 31 deadline and all of that.
So like Darius Garland counts here. Jaron Jackson
yeah,
counts here.
let me double
yeah.
check. Darius Garland, yes, is still 24 years old. So Darius Garland would be on this potentially. So let me ask you guys, we can do it one of 2 ways. We can go the top 10, or we can go you want to do like what we normally do, or you want to try to list it in order? I thought we could change it up where we go, okay, here's the criteria. You guys
listing
go
it in order is going to be so
Okay.
hard. Let's just do top 10s.
Okay, I don't
Top
think
10 first to 6. Top 10 first to 6. Yeah.
there's 11, so this will be perfect. First to 6.
Oh, even better.
So 11 players, 24 and under, are averaging more than 20 points per game. Simple this week. Cut and dry. That's why I was going to have you list them, because I think it's way easier.
So say that again exactly. I want to write it down trivia wise.
Age 24 and under, currently. There are 11 players averaging more than 20 points per game currently in the 24-25 regular season.
Averaging. Name them. Okay. I'm ready. Andrew, you go first.
I go first. Oh, great. I am blanking on a name to say. Is SGA under 24?
No, not
No?
anymore.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of in a fog over the statue that I just saw. So,
Yeah, I'm like staggered by the statue
Yeah.
as well.
yeah. Oh, is SGA not counting as my pick, or?
What's
no,
that?
go ahead. No, you
Oh,
asked the question
okay.
and we
Yeah. No, I think asking an age is fair. It's fair game.
Yeah.
Okay, I will go Tyrese Maxey with my first pick.
Tyrese Maxey
Good
is
answer.
on this list. He is 7th, averaging 24.5 points per game. Andrew with 1.
All right. My guess is going to be LaMelo Ball.
This is a great guess. This is kind of why I wanted to do the order to see how well we could do it. LaMelo Ball is number 1 on this list at
He's just been
31.
awesome
Yeah.
so far.
31, and people are reminding me daily, 31.7 points per game for LaMelo Ball through 3 games played. So we have number 1 and number 7.
Yep.
I'm going to assume, because of the last 2 box scores I saw that Cade Cunningham is on this list.
Cade Cunningham
Yeah,
is 4th on
definitely.
this list, having a really nice season other than the turnovers, averaging 27.3 points per game. We are 3 for 3. Andrew 2, Sam 1.
So because we talked about him, I looked up the stats before. Jaden Ivey is on this list as well.
This is one that I thought would have been tough to get. Jaden Ivey is on this list. He is 10th at 21.7 points per game. Also, not having turnover issues. Pretty good season so far for Jaden Ivey. We are 2 for 2, or excuse me, 2 to 2, 4 for 4 overall. We have named number 1 LaMelo Ball, 4 Cade Cunningham, 7 Tyrese Maxey, 10 Jaden Ivey.
Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Edwards, still young enough to make this list. 27.7 points per game puts him at 3rd on this list. 5 for 5.
Next one for me is Jalen Green.
Jalen Green on this list. He is 5th at 26.3 points per game.
Yeah.
We are 6 for 6, guys.
Hasn't been a great 26 per game, but it's been a 26 per game.
26 per game.
Where is Ant Edwards on this list, by the way?
I don't understand the question.
No.
Where's he ranked?
Like, where's he ranked? Where's he ranked?
What do you mean? Did you guess him?
Yeah. That was my last guess. I just missed where you
sorry,
put
my
him.
bad. Oh,
Yeah.
third.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, 10 is what you guys have guessed.
Paolo Banchero.
Paolo Banchero barely makes this list. He is number 11 at 21.3 points per game. We are rolling 7 for 7.
Okay.
So you guys are missing number 2, 6, 8, and 9.
So I know that because I watched the Brooklyn game a couple days ago. I know Franz I'm going to say Franz. Franz had a massive game in that Brooklyn game, so I'm going to say Franz.
Franz is 6th on this list at 25 points per game. We are 4 to 4, 8
for
in a
8.
row. 8 for 8. We are missing
This is a battle.
We are missing number 2, number 8, and number 9.
Victor Wembanyama.
Victor Wembanyama is number 9.
Oh, that's a good one.
At 23 points per game. Andrew putting the heat on at 5.
I don't know why I didn't even think of Wemby, to be honest.
Hey, I thought of him 11th, so we're
mind.
good. Or 9th, wherever we are on the list. Yeah, I thought of him.
So here's where this gets really interesting. Like there's 7 guys that average 8, 9, 10 guys that average 18 points per game. So like there's a bunch of names that could potentially start being rattled off that aren't actually on the list.
Us up.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I just said Brooklyn. I'm going to say Cam Thomas.
Cam Thomas, 30 points per game, number 2 on the list. We have gone 10 for 10. LaMelo Ball, number 1. Cam Thomas, 2. Anthony Edwards, 3. Cade Cunningham, 4. Jalen Green, 5. Franz, 6. Maxey, 7. 8. Victor, 9. Jaden Ivey, 10. Paolo, 11. We are looking for number 8 on this list. 8.
This would be my first win if I get it here.
I
love it.
I need a minute.
No, you do not get a minute.
You hold on. We gave you a minute to decide who Dwayne Wade's statue looked like.
That took longer than a minute. That
took longer. Yes. It still doesn't look like Dwayne Wade. Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
I'm between 2 names. God, I wish I watched more basketball this week. Shout out to the World Series.
Is that still going on? Is it not over yet?
It might be over, but it's only 2 games in. Yeah.
It's a great World Series too, Bryce. Like truly.
Series. Yeah. Okay, I think the safest bet here is to say Chet Holmgren.
You guys crushed it.
Did we go 11 for 11?
11 for 11.
For what it's worth, Chet was also my next guest, so I like
it.
What was Andrew?
Chet Holmgren was 8th on this list. What was your other name, Andrew?
J-Dub. I was going to go J-Dub. Yeah.
Nah, you had a rough first game. I know that.
Yeah,
Didn't know
J-Dub.
that. So I went with Chet, who I knew had a couple good games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
J-Dub was the next in line here. So any other names from you guys? Like Sam, if you had to go beyond Chet?
Man. Yeah, like Scotty Barnes hasn't been super impressive so far.
Scotty would have been Scotty's 13th on the list at 18.7.
Şengün had like a horrendous game last night against Wemby.
Yeah,
so it wouldn't have been
he's
him.
down at 15.7.
I mean, the funniest name is like you mentioned guys averaging 18, like Sohan's averaging like 18, I think, right now.
17.5, yep.
How old is Trey, man?
Trey, man. He must be older because I think he's at least averaging enough to show up on the top 50.
No, Trey wouldn't be
No.
24 yet.
No,
Yeah.
so did he have a game? Oh, hold
He must
up.
have had a bad game.
No. What did NBA.com do to us?
I mean, I'm looking at. I see he's averaging 18.3 a game now. So
He's at 18 points per game. Yeah.
Oh, there he is. My bad. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
okay.
And he's still 23. Yeah.
Yeah. Why does Real GM?
And obviously, I know Hallie's not on this list.
Yeah. Matherin at
No, it's not going
19.5.
well.
Jordan Hawkins at 18.5. Keegan Murray, Scoot, Kobe White, Mobley, Tyler Hero. Those are the next names that are 18 or more.
Interesting. Yeah. Look at us, Andrew. Look at us.
Look at us, teamwork. I gotta say, the reason I said Chet was from your film session earlier.
There we go.
So,
We're educating here on the Game
us.
Theory podcast.
Literally,
That's
yes.
the goal.
Thank you. I'll take the W anyway, though.
I think
Yeah,
it would have
we get
been
it.
interesting to see how long it would have taken you guys to do the list.
In order?
Yeah.
Oh, there's just too few games so far, Bryce. Like that, we'd have been here for days.
But you had the names. It just would have taken a few guesses to get back and forth.
Fast game's a good game, Bryce.
No,
I
don't mind it. Yep.
That's the goal. Okay. Before I tell Andrew to, go through and tell people where they can find everything, shout out to the Game Theory socials. Game Theory Sam V over on Instagram, X, TikTok, whatever social platforms you're using, go follow all of those platforms. It is a huge help to all of us as we continue to grow the show. Go also subscribe to the YouTube channel, Game Theory Podcast with Sam Vecenie. I'm going to go live in like probably 3 hours and break down tape from what we saw this weekend. And then I'll probably go live tomorrow night after the Phoenix Lakers game because I am fascinated to watch Phoenix Lakers. Because that is a really, really fun game between two teams that are playing really, really well right now. So we will dive into that. Andrew, tell the people where they can find Knicks Film School, Mets Therapy, all of the many things you have going on right now.
So you can find Mets Therapy on all socials at Mets Therapy AC. And then you can find Knicks Film School at wherever podcasts are available, wherever YouTube channels are available, on social media at Nick Film School. The Knicks, obviously, we have pre and post games this week. The Knicks play the Cavaliers, the Dwyane Wade statues, and the Pistons this week, where Bryce Simon will be my pregame show guest later this week. So we have a good time talking about the Pistons. Hopefully a normal game from the Knicks coming up where so far what we've gotten as far as 3-point variance is concerned, you get the Pacers with their first ever 3 for 30 3-point game in their history. And then you get the Celtics, who almost set the record for NBA threes, except they missed their final 13 attempts en route to 61 3-point field goals attempted. So I'll settle right now for 12 for 27 from the Cavs on Monday night, just so I know what a normal 3-point shooting team against the Knicks looks like. But all of it will be broken down over at Knicks Film School, wherever you get NBA content.
Here's the real question, Andrew. Will working on this show make you such a draft expert that you will be able to go on Draft Class with Chris Persinnen?
So for, here we go. By the way, it's Persianen. I told him the next time I
Persianen?
saw you, I would make sure that we get his. I got it wrong for the Wild too. It's okay. There's a learning curve.
I
With
feel
Chris's
like he
last name.
told me the first time
Yep.
that it was
It's a
Persianen.
it's a fourth time thing where once you get told the
Yeah.
fourth time, it's like, oh, I got it now. I get
Persianen. Okay, that's where we're at.
Persianen. Exactly. You already got it the third time. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, Dirty Dancer, and noted KFS YouTube moderator, Dirty Dancer. Good to see you, my friend. The Knicks don't have a pick for the next decade, so Chris can have all the draft experts and draft classes he wants going forward. How relevant it's going to be is up in the air at the moment. So, yeah, we'll see how much I'm going to pay attention to the draft class in the future.
New York Knicks forfeited draft pick in
Yes.
2025 in the second round. Unfortunately, that is reality.
Yes, very much so. Our live draft live stream will just be us watching the draft, not the Knicks pick in the draft, just the draft. You know.
Yeah, right. My God.
Shout out Mikal Bridges, whose shot is not broken, apparently. 15 for 20 since that first half in which he looked like his shot was broken and was declared washed.
Yeah, the shot is still weird.
It is, but it's going in now, so I don't care anymore. As long as it's going in, I'm done caring about if it's broken. There was like a bit, like a half hour, where I was like, did we just trade all our draft equity for Chuck Knobloch? You know, like a guy that forgot. I don't know if you remember the name, Bryce, but there was a guy on the Yankees that like forgot how to throw to first base randomly in the late 90s.
Oh my God.
And was like a
We're
gold
Rick
glover
Ankeeling
before
on
that.
this show.
Bingo,
Oh
Rick
my God.
Ankeeling just forgot how to pitch and it became a hitter because he was so bad at pitching. You know, had the yips. Did we trade for that? You know,
how big of a badass do you have to be to go from being like the #1 pitching prospect in baseball to being such a fucking good athlete that you can go be a major league hitter after you forget how to pitch?
Yep. Like became a hitter for 6 years and then
it was like pretty
30,
good.
30
like,
home runs one
fine.
season. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
Bryce,
there was a
moment
where we were afraid of that, but
no, I know both names
passed.
actually.
Oh, yay. There you go.
Well, I look up Rick Ankeeling stats, who, by the way, had 76 home runs, was worth about 10 wins in his career as a hitter, which is like unfathomable to me. That's like completely crazy. Tell the people where they can find your work. Tell the people what's going on with the Pistons Pulse and everything you've got going on.
Yeah, at Motor City Hoops on Twitter. Follow over there for any content. The Pistons Pulse comes out every week. We actually recorded this morning. So if you want Pistons content for whatever reason, check that out. I put game notes and analysis after every game on the Motor City Hoops Substack. So, you know, maybe you're an opposing team following them. I had 4.5 pages of notes over the Pistons loss on Saturday night to the Celtics. And as Andrew mentioned earlier, I will be over on Knicks Film School later in the week to preview Pistons Knicks. Hopefully Detroit not trying to get their first win. They get one before that. But at Motor City Hoops on Twitter. Otherwise, Game Theory Podcast with the Sam Vecenie.
Go to The Athletic. Keep me employed over there. I will have stuff coming. I don't know about this week, but I will have a lot next week. I know that. There will be a lot of writing going up for the start of college basketball season, which does come next week, Bryce.
Yes.
I'm concerned. If you are not concerned, I am. So I am ready. Andrew.
I'll just add, Bryce, I also hope that the Pistons get their first win before they play the Knicks, because they play Philly and Miami, the two teams I hate the most in the NBA, going into this game against the Knicks. So I hope you're at least 2-3 coming into that game against New York.
Oh my goodness. Man, I'm fascinated to just hear more about the way that this Pistons team ends up going through the season, because this Pistons team rules. The Rockets and the Pistons, they're the two teams that like I feel like I watch more of than anybody, despite them not being good. And I am really, really excited to see, like, does Alperen Şengün just like randomly not play for the final 16 minutes in, you know, any more games? He played really poorly, but like, Jesus, that's fascinating to give a guy 185 million, then not play him for the last 16 minutes of a game, literally the next week, or like this week, I guess. So keep it locked here at the Game Theory Podcast. We will be back. Hit the subscribe button. We'll talk soon.